Hello and greetings again from Central Virginia. You know I've been cleaning up my garden and getting ready to plant for fall. I've actually done some early fall planting. And I'm pretty much done with the cleanup part of my job on this garden rehab. It is approaching the middle of August. I am going to plant some carrots for fall, and I'm also going to plant some beets. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to intersperse those with some bunching onions as well. I'm going to be planting 3 kinds of carrots in this garden bed. As you know, I have very hard clay soil, but I'm a no-dig gardener. I've been able to successfully grow carrots in ground in my no-dig beds. So the varieties that I like, because they're relatively fast growing and they're relatively short, so I don't run into any kinds of issues in terms of splitting and all of that, are the Danvers 126. These I grow every year. The Chantenay red core, which are small carrots, but they are just delicious with a red core. And one that I grew this spring and I positively loved is Shin Karuda, which is a Japanese developed carrot, and it is really, really good. It's a deep, deep orange, and the carrots are thick and just simply delicious. As for the beets, I'm going to grow 3 of my tried and true favorites. My very favorite beet variety is Cylindra, which is a Danish beet. I also love the Chayugas, which are the ones that have the pink swirly bits in the middle. And also, I'm going to grow Early Wonder tall top beets as well. These are all supposed to mature in about 60 days, and that's fine because in 60 days it'll be, let's see, middle of September, middle of October, which is a perfect time for beets to begin to be coming in. However, when you're growing from the summer into the fall, you need to add about 10 to 14 days in addition to the maturity time, because you get less sunlight and you've got to be able to account for that difference in growing things in the fall. All right, as far as the bunching onions, I'm going to grow the evergreen hardy white ones. Those are the ones that tended to do best for me in the spring planting, and we'll hope that they do the same in this planting. All right, let me just show you the technique I use for growing carrots. It's a little bit tricky to get carrots to germinate, particularly when it's this hot. Although it's not that hot right now. It's in the low 80s here in Central Virginia, but I anticipate that it's going to get warmer. Carrots like cooler temps for germination. They also require constant moisture for germination, and that is very tricky in this climate. Although we've had lots and lots and lots of rain, one issue is that all of that rain can just wash away these teeny tiny carrot seeds. I'll show you how I mitigate those issues when I'm growing carrots. I'm going to be growing in this bed. I've got approximately, I'd say it's about 6 by 3.5 feet long, and I'm going to let half of it be devoted to the carrots. Notice how I have a board placed right here. My carrots are actually going to be planted here and here. Now what I've done to start off with is I am marking where I'm going to sow my carrots by sort of tramping on my board to get it nice and battened down. Flipping my board over, keeping it kind of in place there. And I'm going to come along and lightly dig in the places where I'm going to be planting my carrots. Want to have a nice loose soil. This is loose soil. And I'm just sort of turning it ever so slightly in those areas where I'm going to grow the carrots. This board is going to serve to keep good soil contact with the carrot seeds until they germinate. And I will give, in about a week's time, carrots can take up to 3 weeks to germinate. Although I would imagine in this temperature, they will probably be a little faster. So I will start checking these in a week to see if we see any signs of germination. The thing I'm going to do is actually water this area in. Now, why would I do such a crazy thing? Again, what I'm after is pre-moistening. I'm after a nice, moist seeding bed for these carrots. Damping the soil down a little bit. Okay. Just going to water in this area. I'm doing the whole shamil. Look how tiny these seeds are. They are itty, itty, itty bitty. And I'm just going to put maybe 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 in each planting hole. about an inch apart and just barely cover them up with soil. I'm just going to dibble a little indentation about an inch apart all the way down the row. These are the red, the Shen Karutas. You don't want to overseed because, these are going to have to be thinned. They don't like to be crowded, really. Just going to barely cover these up with just a little soil. Press them down to get the very best soil contact you can possibly have. It took me a while to learn how to successfully grow carrots, but I'm so glad I figured it out because I do love, there's nothing like the taste of a fresh carrot that's just been pulled from your garden. It's amazing. You're going to water in one more time. Next, you're going to take your board and you're just going to flip it carefully right where you planted. And press down. Now, if you don't have a board, you can use cardboard or anything like that. Just keep the cardboard good and moistened. All right, so that's really all you have to do to plant carrots. Now let's go ahead and get the beets planted. Now, beets enjoy alkaline soil. So what I'm going to add into this part of the planting area is a little bit of wood ash. I'm not going to overdo it, but I'm just going to sprinkle some of that in and dig it in before I plant my beet seeds. Wood ash got a little bit wet, so I'm just going to put some over here and then I'll distribute it. Now, I did say I was going to plant some onions, didn't I? And I am. So I'm going to do that sort of in this in-between area. And I'll do a row of onions back in the back. Put little holes in to do my planting, my seed planting. A little bit of pre-watering. Hardy white, evergreen, bunching onions. You take about 8 to 10 seeds and you pop them in a hole, and then about another few inches away you do the same. So they're bunching, they grow together. I'm standing on this board on purpose, and the reason I'm doing that is to give these carrots a chance to really settle in. I'm going to go ahead and use all of these seeds because onion seeds really do not last from year to year. They get much less reliable. So just go ahead and plant what you've got. These are also pretty hardy in the cold months, so you can actually leave them in during the cooler months you don't have to pull them. Our frost date is October the 23rd, but you know what? It usually doesn't get a hard frost until much, much later here. Beets, we're just going to do a similar thing. A beet seed actually has a cluster, and so a couple of seedlings will come up if both germinate. You can either pull the plants or let them grow close together. They don't mind being a little bit crowded. Now, these are large seeds, so I am planting, and it's hot, so I'm going to plant these, between 1/4 and 1/2 inch deep. I like to roast them. They're so good roasted. Okay, let's water everything in again. I will come in and give these another watering in with a big hose and another later on this evening. But this is just to get the ball rolling. So we've got another bed planted with fall vegetables, carrots, beets, and some bunching onions. Gradually, bit by bit, this garden will get transitioned to a fall garden. For those beds that don't get replanted and flipped into a fall garden, I will go ahead and eventually mulch those overs and prep them for the winter months. But this garden has a lot of productivity for the summer garden left in it. As you can see behind me, I've got Trumpicina squash here growing. This looks like dinner to me. I've got lima beans over here on the other side that are growing, loads and loads of peppers, piles of tomatoes coming in. So I've got plenty of stuff coming along. But in the coming weeks, just check back often, and I have a playlist called Garden 2025 Planting, and I'll put all of my planting videos, or at least those I remember to, in that playlist. So I will also try to link it at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope your garden's growing well, and I hope you're well. Take care. Bye. All right, what's next? I'm going to water things next.